Hello everybody, James here from plumberparts.co.uk. Today I am going to be using a tool that I just bought randomly on the old Amazon store because I needed it for something else. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to have a go at it myself here, but at the same time it might be quite enjoyable for you to watch from an amusement perspective. The song that is at the end of this video has been selected by my patrons. Thanks ever so much, patrons, for doing that. It's very kind of you. If you want to buy this router, I mean, I was well, look, shall we just get to the video and I'll show you the router, then we'll get on with this job, all right? Let's do it. See you soon. Hold tight! Oh, get ready for some routing. It's going to be really, really sexy. Anyway, I had to install and build up this awful carcass unit. Oh my God, it was missing so many bits, but it was so much fun just so I could do this video for you today. I mean, I don't know loads about routers. I don't do lots of routery sort of work, but I've got the router actual drill, which is basically a motor drill, and I can mount that in here like so, and then I can use that to scribe around things and all that sort of thing. Oh yeah, look, it goes up and down a bit. And there's ways to adjust the depth in which you go in. Generally, for the amount of money that I pay for this, and it's got a little speed thing on it, I was really, really impressed. I'm really happy with it. It's good enough for me, for someone who doesn't route all the time. I'm sure there'll be some of you guys out there who are like, man, how are you using that beast at all to do this? So, and I love the name of it, Von Haus. There's a few other bits and pieces that you get in here. There's loads of stuff in the bag. You get lots of ways of extracting, that sort of thing, and little guides and all that sort of stuff as well. So hopefully it's going to do a good job of this. The first thing I'm going to do before we get on, oh yeah, nice bag, and another thing that came with it, I was shocked by, look at all these bits that come with it. 32-piece bit set. Now, like I say, I'm not a chippy, I don't do routing all the time, but I did use this router to make this sign, very nice. But also I don't know how long these bits are going to stay sharp for, okay? Maybe I'm going to have to spend loads of money. I mean, router bits are expensive sometimes for a reason. That's the way tools are. So, I'm going to get this lot marked out now and get on with doing this beast. Today, rather than showing you me putting this in the center of this carcass, I'm just going to choose an arbitrary place to measure away from to show you that sometimes jobs like this aren't that simple. So we're going to show us cutting into the side of this carcass maybe when we put this kitchen sink in. Also, I'd usually use some sort of protection on the top of the work surface to stop my cutting wheels or whatever I'm using to cut from damaging the surface itself. I'm not going to do that for this video, but just remember it's always there. Right, so you look at a sink like this and you can see on here they've very kindly given us a template as well to work from. So you can use that, that's totally fine. There's a few different ways that you can measure out the install of a kitchen sink. We've got this thing here. Thing is, right, I'm not a huge fan of using cutouts like that. I mean, let's have a look at the accuracy of it. I don't like that at all. I'm sorry, you can use it if you like, but on site I wouldn't be using that. So, this is what we're going to do. We're going to measure across here. Here we're measuring the internal lip that's going to drop down into our hole, not the external flange. 415. And we're just going to check that measurement again. And I'll do the same measurement from the internal lip. Have a good look at where I'm putting my tape measure for the lengthways as well. I'll measure both of those just to make sure that the sink is square, because this sink isn't the best. It's just a demo sink. It isn't the best beast ever. We know that we want the center of our sink to be there and for it to go out perpendicular just like that. We now know that we're going 840 like that, and we're also going 415 like that. So now all we need to do to figure out, well, I mean, really, I could go out here now and just get those in. Should we just do that? I mean, we can if you like. 840 divided by 2 is 420. 420, and in a minute we'll check this measurement because we'll be able to measure the whole thing, won't we? And we'll know that that's exactly right. So my long measurement was 840, so I just divide that by 2 and then measure out from my centre line 420. Obviously the measurements for your sink are going to be different because sinks are different sizes. 420. I was so tempted to do this video in a really a really monosyllabic American accent. If you want to learn how to solder, you can solder like that. 840, 840. We're on to a winner. Sometimes it's a good idea just to pop round and have a look underneath. What we're going to do, we're going to bring that forward to here. The thing is that most people don't want the sink really far away, do they, when they're doing anything? But these aren't exactly amazingly built, so roughly here, you're effectively making an arbitrary decision as to where that is. So we're going to measure back off that. There's no hard or fast rule, guys, as to how far it should be for your particular worktop. So now we've got that there, and if you want to check the square, the thing is as well, is I'm giving myself a little bit of play within these measurements here. So I know for a fact that I can come back from these and make sure that they're going to be okay. But I also know that I've got a little bit of wiggle room because I've added a couple of mil on when I was measuring out my actual sink. And in a minute, we'll just recheck everything. What do they say? Measure twice, cut once. See, I know I could have easily done this by using their bit of cardboard, but I just prefer to do it like this. So now I can check the backs, make sure that they're the same. Yep. Excellent. Make sure that these are okay. Yeah. Cool. So now we've got this scribed out. We know what we're getting rid of here, just like that. So now it's going to be the first time I ever use a router to plunge through it. I got the old beast set up and had a couple of test plunges before I realised that I'd probably need to just pop off to the supplier and get a slightly different bit. Right, so I've had a bit of a change of heart. I've got myself a slightly longer bit because those bits are brilliant, but they're just not quite long enough to go through a whole one of these. So it's important to have the right PPE, as I'm sure we're all aware in this day and age. It's very important. We don't want to have the wrong PPE. People go mental about that sort of thing. Now I can nicely just fit that on there. So, got that little screw on, and that just nips up. Then I can put my router head down like so, and that's ready to get about. All I need to do, the one annoying thing is this doesn't quite fit my Hoover. I mean, why would you not make that bit there fit a standard like Henry Hoover attachment? Even when I took the concertina off and tried it, it still wouldn't fit. But most importantly now is just get your PPE on. Make sure you're safe, guys. So this is sucking like mad around here now. We shouldn't get anywhere near as much dust. So I'm just going to route down here. Now, straight away, I now know exactly what I'm going to use this for. I'm only ever going to use the router from now on, as soon as I used it for doing the corners. Check out how I go around the corners now. So just look at how neat and how accurate you can get a corner with one of these. Now, as I'm sure you're aware, this video is about the other ways that we can cut these worktops. Now, this is a nice string to have to the bow, I've got to say, for how much this cost, to have one of these in the van, knowing that you can do lovely, accurate corners like that. And you know what, if you were doing worktops for basins, things like that, one of these I'd say is pretty essential actually, and I don't really know how I've got on without one. What I would say is to get the right bit. I mean, this is quite a large bit that we've got here, and that just means more dust, more work. So I would say get a narrower bit and also one that's deeper. This on its own will do the job and it will get you through it and everything, but I'd probably use this when I'm cutting one of these in conjunction with my circular saw. that would probably be what I'd be looking at when it came to doing this. So for example, use the router to get the accurate corner piece done, and then use a drop saw or a circular saw like I'm using here to get your straights done. The good thing about this is if you use a drop saw usually, you sometimes get a little end X mark that could be seen if you get it wrong when you put the sink down. So look, now I'm running along here and I can just slowly go across there and get a nice straight cut. The one thing I would say is always test on a part that you can't see or is an off cut, just to make sure you don't get any chipping when you're using a circular saw like I am. So I guess I'm just showing you different ways of doing it. I mean, I've done another video on this in the past. I'm just doing it in a slightly different way. Just because I've got this router, I thought, you know, I'll give it a try. I mean, really, it's quite a simple job now. We're just lifting this out. And there's our cutout, done. Now look, we've gone over the side here. This is the sort of thing that happens. You often find that you're taking off little bits like this on the inside, and that can make clamping at the end a bit difficult. And sometimes you'll find you just need to get a little handsaw in maybe just to finish off those bits there, or you can just break them out like that. So you should now find that the sink lays in there nicely, and that covers all the little gaps and holes and bits and pieces up that we were going to have in there. Now, I haven't used this. Remember what I said, when we're measuring, that's great, I love it, but I just want to know. I mean, I don't know what's happened to this sink, especially ones that aren't very expensive in transit, and you're only going to know rough what size it is if you just measure those internals. It's so important. People just don't do it. You measure those internals like we did from this ridge here to this ridge here, and believe me, you'll get cut doing it. I got cut. Sometimes it's a good idea to wear gloves. Yeah, so this ridge here to this ridge here, not the outer flange to outer flange. This ridge here to this ridge here, not the outer flange to outer flange. Make your centre, measure out, or find out how far you want it off from the edge. It's up to you where you want it. So you're at the stage now where you can fix this down. Now, a good idea is you can get a lacquer, even if you haven't got the proper lacquer. Sometimes just get an enamel and just enamel up these bits around the inside here, and also any bits at the top, any bits of wood that are just open and that could get water on them if your seal fails. Enamel all those up, because if the seal fails and this hasn't been enameled, you'll find that this will blow. It might take years to happen, but it will definitely prevent it if you put that enamel on there. What you then get in one of these sets, they should have sent this, honestly, I mean, I bought this lot just to demonstrate for another video, and it's annoying when you buy it and the little glue-on stuff that goes on the bottom, because you get a strip that you glue around here usually that's foam, and then that will set that down on there. But what I'd usually do for that bit instead, I mean, I always do it anyway, is I usually run silicone. I usually run clear silicone round and do that. Then you'll find you've got these lovely clamps that all us plumbers know and love so well. And what these clamps do, let me show you how they affix on the side. So what we have are these little gaps just here and here. What we do, we push this down. We prepare by pushing this down, and this little lug is going to go into that gap there, like that. And then this can fold back out the way, and then later on when we come to clamp down, this can clamp down to the underside of our worktop. We screw this, tighten this screw up, and that pulls that in and then tightens everything up and tightens it down. So then guys, what's left to do? Just rip off the top bit if you want. But you know what, I wouldn't for now. What I'd probably do, take that back like so, just so it's on the inside, and then you'd clear off all your silicone around the outside. You can either use your finger for that, or you can use a proper silicone profiler. You'll be able to find them on the Amazon shop. But there is a different way of installing a kitchen sink there. Worked okay. I've never really used a router before. I wouldn't use a router for the long bits. I'd use a router for the corners to make sure I got them exactly right, and then use a plunge saw, and then I'd use a plunge saw to drop down into that worktop like that, and that'd be it basically. So come back for the next video. This is a series of videos here. The next video I'm going to do is popping in the waste, popping in the tap, doing the pipe work at the back. I want to show you how people should plan out pipe work, because it really, really annoys me that this goes wrong quite a lot. You often find pipes just coming up in the middle, and it's one thing to allow someone to turn off their water and also have water to a sink, but it's quite another to be able to pipe it up in a way that allows them to use that cupboard underneath. And a lot of the time I find that plumbers don't do that, or I find that guys who've installed these in the past, guys and gals, don't do that themselves. So please come back for that second episode, and then we'll have a third episode after that, all using this carcass that we've got here. So hit the subscribe button, hit that little bell so you get a notificazione. And also remember, if you want extra content, if you want to choose the songs that we put in our videos, and also if you want to be part of Thursday night's live stream, 1 hour long, of the AL Army, then click the link below and join our Patreon. Anyway, I'll see you in the next video, and hopefully on the next AL Army live stream on Thursday evening. And remember to hold tight. See you soon.
Rock, baby, with me, rock. I need to get my sinking nice and clean. Those corners need to be precise, and those straight edges need to be lean. How are you gonna do it, baby, when you've got the plumberparts video? You're gonna have to watch it all the time, so you rock, baby, and go. I don't know how we do it, baby, but I know now. Oh yeah, I know how to do the routing now. I know how to do the routing now. I know how to do all the routing now. I know how to do all the routing now. Let's go. I don't know how you can see when you try to round without me. I don't know how you can see when you try to round.
See you next week, guys. Hope you have a great week. Hit the subscribe and remember to hold tight.